Hi guys, so as part of a personal learning thing, I have decided that I'm going to start a video on YouTube, a video series, where I'm going to review some of my favourite books and just chat about them so that you guys get an idea of what I think, if you're interested that is, and I can get an idea of what you guys think of them as well, so comment below and I will set a Twitter up where I would love you guys to talk about what you think of the books I'm reading. So, first book, Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte. This is a bit of a personal one for me. This is my favourite book, and it was it was a book I read first when I was 12 years old, and I have read almost every year since. Just absolutely love it and love the story, love how Charlotte Bronte writes, and just love how easy I find it to read. Um, I just recently got into Austen again, and I couldn't really get into her at the same age as I got into Jane Eyre just because the language was so flowery, and I was like, oh my goodness, really? I just want to read Jane Eyre again. I loved it. And it had themes in it that I particularly enjoyed, not just the kind of romance elements, which, all well and good. I just like the underlying kind of supernatural creepiness that's in Jane Eyre. So quick summary of the book for those of you who don't know what it is. So Jane Eyre is about a young woman who has had an unfortunate childhood, has gone off to this awful school, and decides after she's finished her education there that she is going to become a governess, so advertises and ends up working for Thornfield Hall, looking after a young girl named Adele. This is where the spoilers come in, so if you've not read it and don't want it spoiled for you, you're covering, or maybe just turn off because I might spoil quite a bit of this book in my review. So she meets Master of the Hall, falls in love with him, slowly and surely. He plays some horrible tricks on her. Things aren't quite as they seem. He proposes. They decide to get married. And then a big secret from the attic ends up meaning that she decides not to marry him and she runs away. So personally, I know a lot of people have an issue with the fact that by the end of the book, she is back with Rochester, and just personal opinion, I absolutely, it's the bit of the book that I'm like, yay, you're back together. Just the sweet romantic in me being like, oh no, they need to end up together. They need to just, oh yeah. And I don't forgive him for everything he does, and I don't think anyone could. He does some horrible things. Particularly just how he tricks Jane for most of the book with Blanche. It's just horrible, and it's horrible to Blanche as well. It's so heartbreaking. It's like, just, he plays one girl against the other to such an extent that he ends up basically breaking one of their hearts in just the most horrible way to get one of the others. And it's in a declaration of love that is possibly one of the worst declarations of love you will ever read. It's just insane, and it's not as bad as a proposal in Pride and Prejudice. That to this day is something I'm like, oh my god, what on earth are you doing? Shut up. But it's still pretty bad, and it's so things I really liked about it, like I said, I love the kind of creepy underlying supernatural side of it. So the mad woman in the attic. Spoilers. Uh, she. Oh my god, Bertha Mason. I absolutely loved her, and I remember reading it, and it was around the time as well. Like I was fascinated with vampires. Not Twilight. No. Felt like I had to say that there. But the description when you first see Bertha, and she's in like properly see her in Jane's room, and Jane's half asleep, and she just wakes up with this candle in front of her face, and wakes up and sees this face staring down at her. And I always liked just this brilliant description of a kind of I think she says to Rochester it was like the German Spectre, the vampire, and I was just like, oh, that's really cool. I love it. It's so creepy and awesome. I love it. And that scene as well is just, it's kind of terrifying, and it's just horrible to think of. Like, you're fast asleep, you've had happy thoughts, you've been thinking of your wedding the entire day, and then middle of the night you wake up and there's someone standing over your bed staring at you. That is just that's a terrifying thought. Absolutely terrifying. And just the stuff that she does with Bertha, Charlotte Bronte, is very clever. So there's a lot of kind of the red herring of Grace Poole and her being behind it all, and then just the whole, there's something not quite right, and there's something Rochester's holding back. And when I've gone back and reread the book, there are parts in it that I'm like, he's worried she's finding out. Like when he proposes to her and she says you have a wife, and there's this moment of, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh my god, she's found out. She knows about Bertha, and it's like, Jane doesn't know. And it's this just absolutely amazing kind of overlying story that, personally, at 12 years old, I did not know anything about this book. I just was like, huh, sounds interesting, go and read it, might not be my kind of thing. I actually sat in a caravan in the middle of nowhere, read this, and I started reading it and didn't move until I had stopped. It was just one of those moments that I was just like, I have to finish this, I have to. So I didn't know anything about Bertha, and it was such a shock to me, and particularly that age in the middle of nowhere, particularly sitting there going, there's someone singing in the window at me, is something happening, this is quite creepy, not too sure how much I like this. And it's just, some of the stuff she does in it as well, like, I like how the girls are compared to birds a lot. Not in any kind of weird, kind of modern, hey bird, are you okay? That kind of thing. No. Yeah. It's just more like the differences of the women can be seen in the birds they are described as. So how everyone sees each other, you can tell by the birds they're describing themselves as. So Jane kind of sees herself as this little meek bird. She says she's not in a cage towards the end, but for so long she's like, I have grey plumage, I'm quite drawn in, that kind of thing. And she's like, I'm a free person, I'm in no cage, sir. She starts to grow in herself, and she starts to realise that she's more a wild animal than this tame little songbird. Whereas when she looks at the like Blanche and the other women, and she describes them coming down on the first night in their white dresses, and she is like, yeah, like the most beautiful, elegant birds, beautiful songbirds, stunning to look at. And then Rochester himself, when he's talking of Jane, but he's talking of the firebird with the red breast that you see flying across the sky, and you realise this is how he sees Jane, and it's no wonder that he's falling in love with her, because in his eyes she's beautiful. And I think that's something I liked as well. Like, Jane is not conventionally beautiful, and she continuously puts herself down and continuously compares herself to Blanche and to the other women and how beautiful they are. And it's something that I think all teenage girls can relate to, which is you have that kind of feeling that you're not good enough, that you're not beautiful. I know I certainly did, and I was like, oh. And I just remember really connecting with Jane on that and wanting someone to see me as Rochester saw her, someone who makes you feel beautiful and strong as well. He doesn't really ever underestimate her strength. In fact, he tests it quite a lot. I mean, when Mr. Mason is attacked, it's her he turns to help him out of this situation, and it takes a lot of strength of will. And he leaves her alone in this room with him, and she starts freaking out a bit, and she manages to hold strong. And I think that the idea that he believed she was strong enough for it was impressive, and just it was quite nice as well. It was, he sees her as not a trinket. She is intellectually his equal. She is strong, and I like that. I like the whole we will stand when we come to judgment and we stand at the feet of God. We will be equals. She is just completely his equal. So when it gets to the second half of the book and she ran away and she ends up with the Rivers, I think that helps her go stronger. At the same time, I just feel her heart's breaking. Her heart's absolutely breaking. Because of just everything that's happened. And personally, I'm sitting there reading it going, I just want to hug you, you poor woman. And I really felt for her. Really did. And then she gets it, a good job, and she's starting to settle down, and she thinks that's it, she doesn't need to worry about it. And I think the moment that really riled me, and I was, what? Not the revelation that Rochester has a wife, not the revelation has kept her in the attic, not any of the stuff to do with the school, but the moment where St. John turns around and proposes to her, and it's so cold. It's just utterly heartless. And at 12 years old as well, I still had this really clear idea of what romance was in my head, and what you married for was love, and this very clear idea that in my mind that already Jane and Rochester are supposed to be together, so no one should be taking her away from him. It doesn't matter what he's done, it doesn't matter how awful he is, it doesn't matter, I can't forgive him, they're supposed to be together. And yeah, I totally felt really upset for her, and so angry at St. John. So angry. Probably a lot of unnecessary anger, actually. I was just like, no, you're not allowed to end up with no. And then the kind of starting to put in of the supernatural element. So when she starts to actually consider it, which I'm like, Jane, no, don't consider it, no. When she starts to do that, the moment that she hears Edward's voice across the moors is just impressive. Just the connection that's between them, and really, when I was reading the book, I was like, it's true love, I love it. Probably a bit silly, first to admit it. And then she goes back to him, and that it worked well for me. I know people don't like it. I love going back to him, and he's a poor man. He's lost his hand, he's lost his sight, and he's lying, well, sitting in this chair in the dark. And she goes in, and I kind of like to think that this bit of the book is where she starts to kind of get her own back on him. So she doesn't introduce herself when she goes into the room. She goes into the room and pretends to be one of the servants. And when he realizes who it is, when I'm reading, I just had this image of just sheer joy from him, because he's just like, oh my god, she's back, I love her, come back, I'm so happy you're back. And I find that actually that section is probably one of my favourites, and it makes me laugh so much just because, you know, the stuff she does. So she describes coming back and it's like, yeah, I made my fortune, but I gave most of it away, and it's like, oh my goodness. And the way she plays the whole St. John angle is so clever. It's just so reminiscent of what he did with Blanche. It's hilarious. And, you know, she doesn't draw it out. She draws it out for a little bit, and then realizes, okay, this is maybe getting a bit close, stops, which is just such a Jane thing to do. She'll try and get her own back, but in the end she'll end up doing the right thing. Although what she thinks is the right thing isn't necessarily always the right thing, I think. Some stuff she does is maybe a little yeah. So subscribe if you feel like it, and just comment in the comments below, and Twitter as well. Send me messages. What do you think of Jane Eyre? And let me know what books you'd like me to review if you enjoyed this. Hoping it's going to get better as it goes along. This is just basically ranting about books, so